Let's now settle for the details. I am Pius Kojo Baka. Now, barring any unanticipated shocks, inflation is projected to gradually trend downwards, but remain above the upper band of 8% plus or minus 2 until the end of 2025. That's according to the May 2023 Monetary Policy Report by the Bank of Ghana.
According to the report, risks to the inflation outlook are fairly tilted to the downside, supported by the relative stability in the exchange rate, reduction in ex-palm petroleum prices, alongside base drift effects. This could mute the upward adjustment in administrative prices. Given these considerations, the Monetary Policy Committee decided to maintain the monetary policy rate at 29.5% in May. Headline inflation had already declined significantly by 12.9% between December 2022 and April 2023. However, it surged slightly to 42.2% in May. But the Bank of Ghana believes its latest forecast suggests a disinflationary path on the horizon, supported by the monetary policy tightening, relatively exchange rate stability, and some favorable base drift effects.
Meanwhile, Ghana's economy beat most analysts' forecasts, expanding by 4.2% in the first quarter of this year. This is compared with the 3.1% recorded during the same period last year. Now, according to data from the Ghana Statistical Service, public administration, defense and social security, health and social work, education and information and communication, basically ICT, drove the growth rate. Once again, the services sector recorded the highest growth rate of 10.1%, whilst industry contracted. Here's government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnainim sharing his thoughts on the country's economic performance in the first quarter of 2023. According to figures from the Ghana Statistical Service, the services sector recorded the highest growth of 10.1%, followed by the agricultural sector with a growth rate of 4.8%, and industry contracting by 3.2%. Here is government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnainim.
Industry sector contracted by 3.2% in the first quarter of 2023. Comparing this to the average growth rate since the first quarter of 2014, we saw that the services sector, in terms of current terms, that its growth rate in the first quarter of 2023 is about twice the average over the same.
I believe there is work towards ensuring some efficiency within the sector, the losses and all that happening there, so that tariffs, we don't necessarily have to increase tariffs. Rather, if we're able to collect the ones that are due to the utility companies, that will help in maintaining tariffs rather than increasing tariffs. Industry, of course, would have to also critically assess some of its cost operations to ensure that it uses cost-efficient means of production, given all the challenges we're facing. But I must say that the relative stability in the exchange rate and some tapering off of the rising inflation, cost of living, is a sure sign to industry to tap into this and ensure that it's able to grow as we move along. You know, growth spurs further growth. So once we've seen growth of 4.2%, it means there will be further growth once we invest from the returns from this growth. So industry to consider the prospects and invest in strategic areas to spur further growth. Well, all things being equal, if there are no significant surprises or shocks, we will certainly see improvement. We've seen some credibility come to play with the IMF program, exchange rate stability, some relative price stability. So I think the next quarter would certainly be much better. If you look at last quarter of 2022 and first quarter of 2023, you can see improvement, and I expect that going into second quarter or in this second quarter, some improvement, though maybe marginal, will be recorded.
All right, so let's get some industry reactions to this. And joining me is the Chief Executive of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mark Bedu Abuaji. For more pleasure, you could join me on Business Live, sir. Now, industry for the past few quarters have been recording contractions. And this quarter, of course, is not an exception. It contracted by some negative 3.2%. And all the subsectors under the industry saw some contractions as well. What could be the problem?
Well, I don't think it's surprising that we are recording this kind of contraction. If you look at the current economic environment and the fact that the cost of doing business keeps increasing, then definitely industry will not perform as expected. I mean, if you have an environment where taxes are being hit on businesses day in, day out, environment where utility tariffs goes up quite frequently, environment where policy rate is 29.5 and then the lending rate is around 30 to 35 or 40, then definitely you don't expect the key sectors in the economy to expand. But let me say that much as we have recorded a growth, I don't think it's a growth that we should be overly excited. The reason being that we need to ask ourselves where the growth are coming and whether this growth is inclusive and is going to engender job creation. If you look at the sectors that actually cause the growth, these are public administration and defense, health and social work, education, and of course, information
ICT
and communication. But the one sectors that will drive the economy, that will make the economy resilient, that will give us a broad-based growth and create jobs are the ones that are contracting. If you look at construction, in our economy, construction is key. So anytime construction is contracting or declining, it means that there's something fundamentally wrong. And of course, you can see our roads are all abandoned out there. And those who are definitely working in those roads have been laid off. If you look at wholesale and retail trade, which is very key in our economy, almost everybody in Ghana is either wholesaling something or retailing something. So anytime you see a contraction in this sector, then we should also be more concerned. Mining and quarrying, and of course, you said manufacturing. Manufacturing is the key to drive our economy. It's the key to make this economy resilient and take up from IMF. So whatever we have to do to ensure that we create the right environment, we have to do it. And these taxes and other things are not the way out. I think we should go back to the drawing board. And this report is giving us a clear indication of where our economy is, and it shows how weak our economy is, and any other shock will be detrimental to us. So for me, I'm very much concerned. We have growth, fine, but we need to ask the critical question of where the growth is coming from and whether this growth is sustainable into the future.
Well, you are a key player when it comes to industry. Now, what steps do you think must be taken to help change this narrative?
Well, I think although the IMF is coming with some conditionalities that are inimical to businesses, but I think there are also some positives that are coming in. Most specifically, the stability that we are seeing in the foreign exchange market, I think is key, and it will help us to predict into the future. We are expecting that at least the city will also put up some strength and then appreciate into the next month or the next two. Also, we have also realized that there has been some level of confidence which will drive in foreign direct investment. The monies that we need to drive the manufacturing sector, which were not coming because our economy was struggling. With the IMF, I believe that people are now seeing positive signs and there will be increase in foreign direct investment. Regarding the tax narrative, I don't know what we can do about it. Of course, the cost of doing business is still high, but these are the two positives that I think that we should capitalize on, and also, as Paul said, invest in strategic areas that will give us the growth. So we should look at the manufacturing or industry sector and also the agriculture sector. But the component or the service sector that is giving us that growth is not strong enough. If you even look at hotels and restaurants, you realize that there is a contraction.
Yeah.
But our tourism sector is very key. It's giving us a lot of revenue. So if that sector is also contracting, then I don't think that we should be happy about the kind of growth we have. We should look at how we can ensure growth in these sectors that have been contracting in the next quarter. If you look at last year, last quarter as compared to this quarter, the growth is just 0.3, which means that it's very minimal. And I think we should do more. It's not good for us.
All right. So what would be your projection for the industry going forward, maybe in the next quarter?
In the next quarter, for me, I would have loved that we turn the negatives into positive. But I think it's going to be extremely difficult looking at the kind of negative we have and the kind of things that have happened within this short period with the IMF coming in. The increase in utility tariffs will definitely affect the manufacturing sector. And then the taxes, the excise duty, and the proof and service levy will also affect the manufacturing sector. So I'm worried, but I'm still hopeful that something better will come out of it. That is what we want. We all want. We don't want this contraction into the future. It's not good for us. Hopefully, there may be some positives in next month.
Mark, we are indeed grateful for your time here on Business Live. Mark Bidwa-Boaje is the CEO of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, speaking to us on the back of the consumer inflation-related stories there. Let's move on to some other stories. And the Cocoa Board, together with other cocoa-producing countries on the continent, will be establishing an African cocoa exchange to help the continent have some control over pricing of the commodity. The African Cocoa Exchange will function as an international marketing platform for financing and trading cocoa proceeds. Chief Executive of the Ghana Cocoa Board, Joseph Boahin-Edu, explained that the importance of the move, basically has been explaining the importance of the move at the opening of the stakeholders workshop on the feasibility studies for the African Cocoa Exchange.
The move is expected to give some confidence to producers over the pricing of cocoa in the world market, since Africa is the largest producer. Presently, there are only two international markets, New York and London, which makes it difficult for cocoa farmers in Africa to bargain for a better pricing. According to the Chief Executive of Cocoa Board, Joseph Boahin-Edu, the outcome of the workshop on the feasibility study will help with the establishment of the exchange. He believes this will support the quest for Ghana and other African countries to have some bargaining power on cocoa pricing in the global market.
Prices have been detected at the New York market and then the London market. If you have, let's say, Accra or Lagos or Abidjan markets, definitely we can have more say in the market. And that can definitely change the price regimes that we've been seeing over the years. But beside that, let me indicate that the platform will also give us the confidence, the strong confidence that we have lacked over the years. The confidence in the sense that you go into New York market, we are going to a consuming environment. And for that matter, we had little say in the market. Now, if it's based here in Africa, I believe our traders can trade properly and better for us.
The Minister of Food and Agriculture, Brian Achampong, lauded the initiative and indicated the government's support. He therefore described the establishment of the exchange as a new dawn in Africa's cocoa industry.
Could be the beginning of a new chapter in the African cocoa industry's history. We have the opportunity to change our course and revolutionize the cocoa supply chain for delivery of greater value to all actors.
All things being equal, the African Cocoa Exchange will be established this year, with Ghana making a move to host the platform.
You're still watching Business Live here with me, Pius Kojo Baka. More after this break. Stakeholders in the cocoa industry are calling for restructuring of legislations and tax regulations in the sector. According to them, these restrictions are affecting farmers' income and hampering the sector's potential for sustainable growth and equitable development. Co-convener for the Ghana Civil Society Cocoa Platform, Obed Owusu Adai, says the phenomenon has forced many cocoa farmers to lease their lands to illegal miners.
One of the major issues is about cocoa pricing and how much goes to the cocoa farmer. Currently, per the PPRC's regulation, the cocoa farmer is to get about not less than 70% of the FOB price. And people usually don't know what goes into determining the FOB price.
Educate us.
So when there is an international market price, let's say right now it's doing a bit well, it's about 3,000, over 3,000. But before they set the market price for the cocoa farmer, there are deductions that are made by Cocoa Board. Cocoa Board does spraying, mass spraying, distribution of fertilizer, and other costs that is associated to their production. They deduct all these things from it, and then they also deduct the LBC margins, those who go to the countryside to bring the cocoa beans. They pay them from it. So the money that is left, that is what they share between the cocoa farmer and government. And per the statistics, the farmer gets between 68 to 72% of that. The question we should be asking ourselves is, the other part that goes to the Cocoa Board, what happens to that money? 70%, averagely 70% of the FOB price goes to the farmer, and 30%. So on that 30%, there is import taxes and all those taxes that government takes from the farmer. We don't particularly have a problem with the tax, but what do we do with the taxes that we take? Every year, Cocoa Board goes to the money market to borrow, to buy cocoa beans. But for a very long time, we've been taxing the cocoa farmer to the extent that right now, the Ghanaian cocoa farmer is poor. And
Thanks so much for your company. I am Pius Kojo Baka. Let's connect same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.